What makes people unforgettable? Is it the way they look? How they talk? How they assert themselves? Is it because of their family, their friends, who they choose to communicate with? Is it their actions, the good things they've done or the bad? Maybe the most unforgettable people are the ones you want to watch die and suffer and bleed until the life in their eyes vanishes, but you didn't get the chance to see it. I've been an unforgettable person a while back, but this is the type of unforgettable that fills me with a warm sense of comfort. In the school's gym, I was standing on the second highest step of the ladder, hanging up a banner for homecoming. And just as I was sticking scotch tape on the thin cardboard letters, a boy approaches from my right. I take a look. He smirks at me, raising his eyebrows. At first, I'm thinking he's just another awkward guy who has no idea how to carry a conversation. But then he said,
I've been thinking of kicking down this ladder so I can use that "did it hurt when you fell from heaven" line, because I've been pushing girls off stairs and it never works.
I was confused at the logic behind his joke, but I couldn't help but laugh at how stupid it was. I stuck the last letter on the wall and climbed down the ladder. Smiling, I planted my feet on the gym squeaky floor. I see that he's fairly tall, nothing spectacular, just taller than me. And then he said,
"Oh good, you're short. I was worried that you weren't gonna like me. Hi, my name is Dean Savini."
Yasmine. My name's Yasmine.
Yes, I know, you're in my Spanish class, is that right?
Yeah, I'm seated behind you. You're always looking back at me.
Oh, you noticed that. Ah, shit. Well, if I want to check the clock on the wall above you, might as well look at something nice as well.
Okay. So, what do you want to ask me or tell me? I don't know.
Well, you haven't slapped me yet, which is always a plus, but I would like to know if you're interested in going out with me sometime.
Yeah, I'm interested. Like most first dates, ours was at the mall. After getting lunch, we walked through the whole mall, talking about whatever popped in our heads. One thing I noticed about him is that he curses a lot, but I didn't really mind it. I remember talking about the different types of people we kill, and I asked him, "Okay, but why homeless people? Why are you killing if you're not putting any meaning in it?" Dean froze. I could see it in his eyes that question got to him. Before I could tell him that he doesn't have to answer it, he said,
"Because it's easier, and people really wouldn't care if they're gone."
"Yeah, but do you target addicts who are far beyond help? Or do you just go after any homeless person?"
Yes, addicts who are already, pissing their own lives away, so why not?
Like, you've never gone after someone who wronged you or anything personal like that?
No, I strictly keep my murders, just that, murders.
After that exchange, we kept walking until there was no other place to go but outside. As soon as we exited out of the JCPenney side of the mall to walk around outside, that was when he brought it up again.
So you're able to kill anyone you want and get away with it?
Yeah, but only those who deserve it and those who didn't get a proper punishment.
Oh, shit.
What? Do you disapprove?
No. It just seems like a lot of planning and execution for an execution.
And then he asked me,
aren't you scared that you're gonna get caught?
Sometimes, but I always trust my cousins to help me clean it up.
Nice. Did you ever use a gun on any of your targets?
Yeah, I mean, my dad taught me to fire handguns, so I gotta use that skill somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was back in New Mexico.
Yeah, how do you know?
Well, the Bay Area isn't primarily famous for...
Dean rotated his right palm, trying to think of something to say.
Fuck, I don't know where I'm going with this.
And then I asked him, well, why do you want to know if I used a gun?
Because guns are loud and you can, drive attention to where you and your cousins are.
Well, if it makes you any less nervous, I really use it. I mostly use it if it represents what the target did.
Oh, okay, so it's like... So if someone says a lot of offensive or hurtful stuff, you, cut off or pull their tongue out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything to get the most profound execution on camera. We just kept walking for a while, in silence. Eventually, Dean asked,
So it's like art.
Hmm?
Like art. Murders and executions are like an art form to you.
Of course. It's nice to give a message to the public through a person's death.
Yeah, I like that, but do you think anyone will care how or why your targets die? I mean, I don't want to piss you off or anything, but...
I fiddled with the glove over my left hand. I wondered whether I should tell him about that bitch who took my ring finger. After a long second of silence, I figured that I wasn't going to tell him the specifics. I raised my left hand and said, "You see this?"
Yes, that's your left hand.
We stopped walking. We were directly facing each other. A long time ago, a bitch, un puta grande, messed up this hand in order to get her way. Sooner than later, she met her demise. It kind of inspired me to carry out, proper punishment to those who deserve it. Dean leaned in, gently placing his right hand on my arm, asking,
Do you really want to talk about all that?
At first, I was surprised that he was actually concerned. Usually people just shrug things off in order to avoid your heavy topics. I shook my head. Then he said,
Okay.
He made his way down my arm to grasp my hand. I was a bit taken aback. I could tell that he could tell that I was blushing. And then I remarked, I don't want to let go, but I don't want anyone else to see. Dean looked confused. He looked all around us, scoping the parking lot, mall entrance, and even the inside of a sewer grater. Without hesitation, he said,
I don't see anyone else.
We had a small laugh about it, but soon Dean released my hand and said,
Come on, let's get on to your answer something.
I'm the one who captures the pain. My camcorder is my eyes, and I see what I want to see. My victims hear my voice, but they see my lens. I make them stare into the black hole, letting them figure out why they are being given this treatment. One of the first executions Dean and I did together was a man named Mr. Charles Armspoker. He lived in the Bay Area, which made it easy for us to find and kidnap him. I wasn't able to introduce Dean to cousin Ada, Owen, and Hector, but they did help with tying up and transferring Mr. Armspoker to our execution location. Charles Armspoker was a wealthy man. He was mainly involved in the stock market, making bank since his late 20s. His house is huge, an indoor and outdoor pool, private gym, 105,000 square feet. Since cousin Owen lived in Charles's neighborhood at the time, he told me that there were rumors about Charles speculating in the Bay Area. Owen told me that one of the biggest rumors was that he kidnaps and kills kids. Why hasn't no one caught him yet? That is because he was taking children from different countries. With his expensive vacations and his private jet, he was able to kidnap kids from third world countries and bring them back to his mansion. Owen told me that the rumors he told were true. He said that when he was taking a walk past Charles's house, he saw a little boy running away from the mansion. The little boy was dark-skinned, skinny, and wearing nothing but a brown-stained shirt. The boy was even drenched in water. He ran up to Owen speaking a foreign language, and Owen told me that he wanted to help, but was too confused and shocked as what to do. He said that the boy sounded desperate, and he kept pointing at Charles's mansion. The boy soon ran away from Owen to find help. Owen hasn't seen the boy since. The next thing I knew was me holding my camcorder on the edge of Charles's empty indoor pool. It was just me, Dean, and Mr. Armspoker. Charles was wearing his best black and white suit. There was a garden hose shoved down his mouth and another up his asshole. They were even duct taped to keep them in place. All his limbs were tied. I caught his crying face, begging for his life as he squirmed on the pool's concrete, all on camera. When Dean was finished setting up the execution, he looked at me and said,
Yo, imagine being so fucking rich, you can't decide on whether you want an indoor or outdoor pool. So you say, fuck it, and get both.
Before turning on the faucets, Dean gently placed his hand on my shoulder and said,
Hey, I gotta ask you something.
Sure.
What exactly do the hoses represent?
Oh. His greed for power over people less fortunate, filling him up until it's too much to handle. Dean looked a bit confused. He looked up at the ceiling, as if his next words were plastered up there. I asked him, is there something wrong?
No. I'd say I don't get it, but I really want to see this piece of shit explode.
Fine with me. Dean rushed over to the faucets and turned both of them on. As water slowly made its way to Charles, Dean rushed to my side. He placed both of his hands on my shoulders and pressed the side of his face to mine. He could tell that I was blushing. As I zoomed in on Charles' face as he started to struggle, I could tell the moment water entered his throat when he started to viciously flop, desperately trying to escape. Slowly but surely, I could see his body starting to expand. I could hear his suit ripping. There was even a moment where he gagged and a large sum of water squirted out of his nose. I could feel Dean tensing up, anticipating the climax of Mr. Armspoker's death. His skin was tearing, his body was bloating, and his suit got ruined. Sooner than later, a giant burst of red erupted in the pool. Chunks splattered the empty pool. If you rewatch the footage, you can actually pinpoint the moment his eyes bursted out of his socket. Dean freaked out. He cursed out Charles, calling him all sorts of colorful names, and at the same time laughing at the remains. He celebrated by cheering me on and asking me if I got the whole thing in frame. Usually I would be pissed if someone made me shake the camera, because it usually messes up the recording. But this is the first time where I didn't really care that much. Dean embraced me with everything he had, and even gave me a peck on the cheek. Later that night, while I was showing the footage to Dean, he asked me an odd question.
Hey, has anyone described you as gorgeous before?
I was a bit caught off guard. All I said was, no.
Huh, that's weird.
We looked at each other and had a good laugh about it. He didn't call me gorgeous at the end of the night, but I wasn't complaining. Charles's remains were found a day later. Ever since New Year's, I felt like I've been living the past and the present all at the same time. I'd catch myself in certain situations, almost reliving memories. It's low-key kind of like a drama/romance series where the two characters look into each other's eyes when they show a montage of all the cute moments that happened throughout the show. It's December 8th, 2017. Dean has his right arm wrapped around my shoulder. We're watching an 80s movie in my living room. He's wearing his red hoodie that has a small tear on the left sleeve. I'm resting my head on his chest. Every time he takes a deep breath, my body moves with his. Now it's June 25th, 2018. We're in the bleachers cheering on Johnny Schmidt to steal the ball. The Koalas are 13 points behind, but every time they score, we cheer no matter how behind they are. The seats were a bit sticky because I saw someone spill a bottle of Gatorade all over it. January 16, 2018. I'm telling Dean about a girl named Tiffany I killed in 8th grade. I'm saying that she was complaining about how hard it is to be a woman in America. I asked her if she knew what women are going through in Israel or any harsh third world countries. She asked me where Israel is, and a few days later, I found her disrespectfully yanking on a woman's hijab. Invested, Dean asked me what I did. I say, I chopped her pussy off. May 6, 2018. Dean is surprising me at my house. He's wishing me a happy birthday. A few minutes later, he's giving me a present in blue wrapping paper. I'm opening his gift, and I find out it is an 18 by 24 poster of one of my favorite telenovelas. February 13, 2018. The seating arrangement has changed in our Spanish class. I am sharing a desk with Dean. Miss Rocha is in front of the class, teaching us the future and conditional tenses. Under the desk, I am feeling Dean's right hand on my knee. His hand slowly starts to move up my leg. He's whispering, asking me if I want him to stop. I say, I don't mind. It's November 23rd, 2017. We're helping Miss Liu clean out her room after school. She leaves to use the bathroom. Seconds after she steps out the door, I am feeling Dean's hands on my waist, turning me around to face him. Our faces are inches from each other. I tell him how nervous I am. He tells me I'm not alone. He awkwardly places his left hand on the back of my neck. We're laughing as our foreheads rest against each other. I'm feeling his lips on mine. We're holding each other, the closest we've ever been. July 4th, 2018. I can hear the fireworks in the sky. I'm kissing Dean, remembering the first time our lips made contact in November. I'm thinking about how much our technique has improved, but more importantly, how more comfortable the both of us are doing it. As usual, his right arm is around my shoulder, my head is on his chest. It's not nice to think about how things will come to an end, so in this moment, I make it worth my while. I laugh, I smile, I cry. I don't want this to end. I don't care if it sounds stupid, but now I'm thinking, is this what love feels like? Cole Wagner was the ultimate dream boy, and Angela Baker was the sweetest girl everyone knew. She smelled like flowers. He smelled like cigarettes. Everyone kept telling Angela to stay away from Cole, but obviously that didn't stop her from talking to him. A few weeks after knowing each other, Cole and Angela began to date. He'd take her on rides in his bright red convertible car to the mall, to the beach, and of course, to school. Their relationship flourished for a good 2.5 months, and then they broke things off. After those months, Angela rarely showed up to school. Her friends had no idea why she was staying home. She basically disappeared. It turned out, surprise, surprise, that she was pregnant with Cole's baby. Towards the end of our junior year, they were reunited in the school stairway. Her belly bump was noticeable, but she wasn't trying to hide it. She practically begged him to help her take care of the baby, but he refused. He wanted to abort it. She legitimately wanted to keep it. Their yells echoed throughout the school. Dean, Hector, and myself watched the whole thing go down. It all ended with Cole pushing Angela down a flight of stairs. And if that wasn't bad enough, Angela's face was soon covered in blisters and bruises. Cole didn't really suffer any consequences due to him paying off anyone who recorded the incident and lying to the principal about the whole situation. The worst part about it is that Hector saw Cole and his buddies laughing about the whole situation. Cole even said that Angela wasn't good at giving him head, yet alone having sex with him. It took some time, but it's a good thing Dean, my cousin, and I as soon had his body stuck and restricted on the pavement a few days after Hector told me about it. We were in one of those massive abandoned parking lots with Cole's convertible a half a mile away from his body. I let Hector drive the car while Owen rode shotgun. They were both wearing helmets just in case something went wrong. Ada was there to give them the signal on when to go. She also wore one of those skimpy flag girl uniforms. As Dean and I were setting the cameras to get multiple angles, Dean stopped to interview Cole for a minute. He had my camcorder in his hand and asked,
So, Mr. Wagner, do you have any regrets in life?
No. Please, do not kill me. I don't know what you want me to say.
That's unfortunate.
I then chimed in, saying, "Ooh, ask him who he loves."
Yeah, okay. Who do you love in this world?
My mom.
Okay.
My dad.
Okay, keep going.
My friend Cosmo.
Oh, yeah, that guy who dressed up as one of those inflatable dinosaurs for Halloween. Yeah, he's cool, but that's a rare name. Sounds more like a stripper if you ask me.
My car.
I'm sorry, what?
My car.
It sounds like you're saying Mike R, because there's no way in hell you said that you love your car.
I went to place my hand on Dean's back and said, "He loves his car."
Yeah, I know what he said, but after listing his parents and his friend, he then groups the same love for them with the love of his fucking car.
Estupido. Dean took a long look at Cole. I could tell that he was both confused and pissed at the same time. After a short time to think, he then grabbed my hand and said,
Come on, we got an execution to shoot.
With all the cameras placed making the most cinematic shots, I gave the signal to Ada, who gave the signal to Hector. The convertible started to accelerate, picking up speed the closer it got to Cole's head. As usual, Cole was panicking, fidgeting in his restraints. I could hear Hector and Owen howling, like a couple of fanatics when their favorite team scores a point. Then Cole started to bleed, probably the most he's ever done in his life. His miserable wailing didn't faze any of us. And then it happened. The tire on the left side of the car ran over Cole's bare face. The collision was so strong that it blew out the tire, causing the car to scrape across the pavement until it came to a full stop. Cole's jaw was hanging. His skull was completely shattered. His hair, blood, bones, and brain matter plastered the ground like a Jackson Pollock painting. Owen and Hector were all right. Before we celebrated, Owen cleaned out the car and found an interesting case inside the glove compartment. Inside the case was a Mauser pistol. He gave it to Dean, saying how good of a boyfriend he's been to me. After Dean thanked him, we burned down that convertible. It was a nice car. Really nice. The inside of my mom's car smelled like her perfume. One night, Dean and I went on a drive to the beach, since I got my driver's license last week. I asked my mom if I could use her car. She said no, so I had to sneak out of the house. It was surprisingly not that hard, considering the amount of practice I've had from silently but effectively kidnapping and executing people. We were sitting on the hood of the car. We can hear the waves crashing into the shore. The sky is black and the air is cold. Out of all the nights I forget a sweater or jacket, it was this night. As usual, he was wearing his red hoodie, but he didn't offer it, since we both knew we were going to be snuggled up against each other. I never really understood why in arguments people bring out something that has nothing to do with the argument, but it's also something the other person is insecure about. And that move is just to bring out the worst in the other person. It always sounded cheap, and it's just a low blow. My mom and dad never did that, and I didn't plan on doing it to Dean. I remember him saying,
Yasmine?
Yeah?
Remember a while back when you asked me if I ever killed a homeless person out of revenge or anything personal, and I said no?
Yeah?
There's something I haven't told you yet, because I didn't know how you react.
Okay, you can tell me.
Okay, During freshman year, my dad got in a car accident back from his work, and it fucked up both of his legs. When we got to the hospital and when my mom saw him lying down, she went from concern to a full meltdown. I mean, I've seen her cry during Pixar movies, but not like that. Not that hard. Me and my mom obviously visited him as much as we could, but even though both of my parents were willing to pay for any type of treatment, the doctors made it clear that there's a possibility that he couldn't walk again. After a few months, I decided to blow off some steam. I was gonna try to find a bum worth killing. So I found this one guy. He pretty much looked like everyone else I've killed. A grungy look, shopping cart full of random shit. I was pumped. I was ready. I found an old hammer in my garage.
Dean looked distressed. I could see that his hands were shaking. I quietly asked, "And then?"
And then I found where the meth head usually slept. Run down alley as usual. I waited until night. I got myself ready. Next thing I knew, I had a hammer in my right hand, raised above his head. I was eager to bash open this fucker's skull. Then I saw what was in his shopping cart. It was a toddler. Fast asleep in a car seat. At first, I thought he stole the kid until I realized that all the other stuff in his cart was baby supplies, diapers, toys, new clothes, even baby food. When I looked back at the meth head, all I saw was my dad.
I remember wrapping my arms around Dean, burying my face in his chest. I could feel his heart pounding fast. All I told him was to finish the story.
After getting his treatment and a few months of physical therapy, my dad returned to the house. I honestly thought he was gonna come back in a wheelchair, but the moment he walked in, I couldn't take it. I collapsed on the floor, sobbing my eyes out. I felt him bringing me back up on my feet and saying the words, "I love you." It hit me. It hit me like a brick because I'm so used to my mom saying it that when he said it to me for the first time, it felt like there was so much weight to it. And that's the thing. See, love is earned. It's supposed to be. I think that's why I use it scarcely.
Dean rubs my arm as we cuddle on the hood of the car. I then realized something kind of weird. I then asked, "Wait, what was that? What did you say?"
Scarcely.
I don't think that's a word.
No, it is. It's like to barely use or something.
Oh, you mean scarcely?
That's how you say it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I've been saying scarcely this whole fucking time.
He kissed my head and we stayed on the hood of the car for a few more minutes. Eventually, he gave me his hoodie for the rest of the night. During the ride back to my house, the smell of my mom's perfume was blocked by the scent in Dean's hoodie. That night, I actually got caught sneaking out for the first time. I wasn't able to use my phone for a few days, which is fine because during those days, all I could think about was what Dean told me about how love is earned. Before Dean, I went on a date to the movies with this guy we'll call Andrew. Andrew was cool, nice, and a pretty sweet haircut. But the whole date was extremely bland. Most of the time, he kept telling me that he loved me. Just like what Dean said, I hear my mom tell me that all the time, but as my date with Andrew progressed, it essentially lost its meaning. I couldn't help myself. It took me the whole week to contemplate on what to do with Kayla. She reminded me too much of that bitch that I had to do something horrendous. With help of Owen, Hector, and Ada, we were able to pull off possibly my greatest work yet. The night we killed that bitch was one of the most eventful nights of my life. The machine worked flawlessly. Dean's recording of the whole event was shot exactly how I wanted. The blade pierced her esophagus over and over again until she was gone from this earth. I got to see her suffer and pay for what she did to Dean's friend Noel. But when it was all over, the other thing I remember was what happened after we left the room. Dean was making sure I was okay, that my head was in the right space, which I don't blame him. He's never seen me this pissed off at one of our victims. He then placed his hand on my back, then my hips. I didn't know how to react. I mean, he's done this to me before, but this time it felt different. He told me what he wanted without telling me what he wanted. I already understood that the next few minutes in this house was going to be experimental. I said the words, and we went upstairs. We went slow. Our bodies were pulsating. Our hands explored each other. I was able to tell him what I like, and he did the same. The room was a bit too cold, but we really didn't have a problem with that. We used protection that Dean got at a Walgreens, but when the actual moment happened, the feeling I felt was unexplainable. Yeah, it did hurt for a second, but when we continued, I felt like my mind and body were floating. He made me feel wanted, safe, secure. I knew that we were both nervous, believe me. But even if we screwed up a move, we just laughed about it and kept going. It wasn't the craziest sex in the world, and we didn't make loud sounds, because that doesn't really matter. To me, it was special. I was aroused. I was excited. I was happy.
Nothing's gonna hurt you, baby. Nothing's gonna take you from my side.
We were in my bed, and it was the first time he saw me without my gloves on. Now that he knew I had 9 digits instead of 10, I figured that it was time to tell him the full story. While in the bed together, I had my left hand raised up, and I remember saying, "You want to know?"
Yes, but kind of depends on whether, you're ready or not.
I think I'll be fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
A while back, I think I was like 9, my mom had a friend who used to live with us in New Mexico. I called her Aunt Jezebel. She was exceptionally overweight, just like Kayla. But the difference is that she wore baggy clothes instead of that skimpy shit Kayla wears. Or wore whatever. She was nice and sweet, and I remember her making the best homemade Jell-O. It was delicious. You'd like it. But what I remember is that she would constantly have men over at the house. And it was a different guy every time it happened. I remember my mom and Aunt Jezebel arguing in the living room. My mom, understandably, wanted her to leave, but Aunt Jezebel always found a way to complain about how lonely she felt and how it's unfair that my mom was more attractive than her. I remember perpetually hearing the line, "Where the fuck is all the good men?" My mom tried to tell her to lose weight and lower her standards, but that is when the argument would eventually end. Because the next thing she'd do is storm off to her room. Both of my parents finally took the chance to kick her out. But as always, she refused. She said she would leave the house the moment a guy proposes to her. My dad called her retarded for thinking that, which I don't blame him for saying. While all of this is happening, I'm upstairs watching a movie or something. Then I hear the door open, and I see Aunt Jezebel with a screwdriver in her right hand. I feel her grab my left arm with the other hand and drag me to my desk. She forcefully places my palm on the desk, raises the screwdriver above my ring finger, and says something along the lines of, "If I'm stuck here, so are you." The next thing I know, my ring finger is severed off my hand. I fell to the floor, crying hard. With my eyes closed, I felt my mom cradling me in her arms, berating her sister for what she just did. I remember seeing my dad tackling Aunt Jezebel to the ground, trying to punch her in the stomach, which really didn't do that much damage considering her fat.
Fupa. That's a fupa.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, where's she now?
She did a few months in prison, but before she was released, we moved to California, where my dad grew up. We basically detached ourselves from her, almost like disowning her, like how wildly conservative parents disown their gay kid. A couple of years go by, and we find out she got in a car accident in the middle of the New Mexico desert. The driver she collided with survived, but I remember hearing something about her hands being cut from the windshield glass of her own car. It was so disgusting. The driver vomited on the side of the road. They couldn't call anyone since there's no service in the desert, and the driver wasn't able to pull her out of the car. The reports said she died of blood loss and dehydration.
Oh, wait a sec. Did she ever send you or your parents some sort of letter or apology, for your finger, or at least saying that she's improved?
No, she didn't. I remember my parents debating on whether they should buy some prosthetic finger for me, but I didn't want one.
So you chose to cover it up with gloves?
It looks stupid.
Maybe this is California. It's required by law to have some kind of prosthetic in you.
We both laid there in comfortable silence for a good second, until Dean said,
Do you ever miss her?
"Sometimes. I will say she has encouraged me to not become someone like her, but I also owe that to my parents. Ever since then, I keep finding it ironic that her last moments on this earth was of her blood-soaked hands. It was almost like a form of karma or some other godlike being doing the work. I'm just pissed that I never got to see that bitch die."
Well, she got what was coming to her. And I'm just glad I'm not one of the dudes that she brought to your old house. If anything, I'm satisfied. You're the one I ended up in bed with.
Thank you.
Can I stay here?
Did you remember to lock the door?
Yes.
Dean got out of the bed and made his way to the bedroom door. He twisted the doorknob and jittered it to find the door to be unlocked.
Oh, shit.
He closed the door, locked it, and jumped into the bed. I remember us both laughing with our faces inches away from each other. He pressed his lips against mine, and I kissed back. Detaching himself, he turned on the lamp on my bedside table to get a better look at me. He grabbed my hand, stared in my eyes, and said,
Jesus, you're gorgeous.
The koala suit smelled like dog shit. Ada and I were able to clean it out in time to stuff Gail in it. All of us made sure that everything was perfect. I thought someone was going to recognize something wrong with the koala suit, and even if they did, they wouldn't know that either Dean, my cousins, or I did it. But as more students, parents, and teachers came in, they didn't acknowledge the suit at all. The only one who seemed to understand who was in the suit was Noel. He spat on the suit, which almost made me want to tell him not to, until I remember what Kayla did to him. I didn't know what to do, so I started to greet everyone that walked through the school's gates. I was smiling, but I was trying to see if they would ask about the koala suit. I did this for a good 10 minutes, until Dean approached behind me, wrapped his arms around my body, and pressed the sides of his face against mine, and said,
That fucking koala. That's our work right there. Proud of you, Yasmine.
I kept smiling, but that was the moment when my smile became genuine. I really wanted people to care about my work, but the one who actually cared was closer than I thought. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. No one really gave a shit, and it was something pretty hard for me to accept at the end of the day. But now I see that it's okay. I let myself go for the rest of the night. Gina and I enjoyed every second we had, because we both knew that we weren't going to see each other in a few days. This overwhelming feeling of the inevitable lingered in me as those days went by. When that day finally came, I honestly wasn't prepared for what's to come. I don't know what to say. The last time I saw Dean was obviously when we broke up. He gave me Cole's Mauser pistol, and he said that I was a better shot than he is. I gave him my gloves. I know it's corny to hear, but I think he helped me. I haven't thought about Aunt Jezebel for a while, and even if I do, I remind myself that she can't hurt me anymore. I'm free. I remember he had his arms wrapped around me, and I had mine wrapped around his. Our bodies were close. He told me the obvious: I'm gonna miss you, I hope nothing but the best for you, thank you for being my girlfriend. Then after we kissed, I started to walk away. I only took a few steps until I felt his hand grab my right shoulder. He looked me in the eyes. I could tell he was on the verge of tearing up. He gently placed his hands on my waist and stuttered,
I love you, Yasmine.
Those words hit me harder than a bullet. I felt myself tense up. Goosebumps covered my body. I knew he meant what he said. There was only one reply I could say back. So I did. I love you, Dean. We both pretty much broke down at that moment, holding each other for a good minute. All I wanted to do was stay pressed up against his chest, and I could tell he didn't want to let go of me. But then we went our separate ways. I had a boyfriend. He was quick-witted, gentle, forward, and a little dorky. He had given me new perspectives and ideas that I will never forget. Our relationship is one I'll cherish. I'm sure the next man I'll find won't be as good as him. Your first relationship either shapes you to find good quality people to spend your life with, or breaks you to be trapped in an endless cycle of putting your own trust in garbage human beings. I haven't started dating again. I've been focused more on my career in becoming a professional cinematographer or director of photography. if I wanted to sound more extravagant. I honestly really like what I do, but at the end of the day, I have this overwhelming sense of discomfort as I lay in my bed. I always feel like there's something or someone missing in my life that I haven't found yet. The clock is ticking, continuing to rotate, but I feel stuck. I'm waiting for the next grand adventure or proper execution, but I'm slowly starting to realize that I can't keep waiting for amazing things to happen like they did in high school. I mean, I haven't killed anyone since Dean and I broke up. I'm kind of seeing life as music. Music could evolve and change with the times or die out until other people start to care. No matter what, you're still leaving behind somewhat of a legacy. I wonder what he's thinking of me right now. I know we haven't seen each other in a while and our relationship had a decent bookend. But if I'm being honest, in the real world, nothing really ends. Nothing ever fucking ends.